Thursday, you played with the subs and you lost. Sunday, you played with a starter and you lost. Shall we borrow you some players next time and see if you at least get 1 point, Antonio Conte? Hello, Laziale of the world. Welcome to the only podcast of the team that beat Napoli twice in 3 days. I'm Vittorio Campanile, and with me there's McTominay. Alasdair McKenzie. Well, same. You came from the same place, right, Alasdair? Nearly, close.
Oh, Manchester. Yeah, I mean, look, Scott McTominay, he's in my Fantacalcio team this year, obviously, but I was happy for him to lose his points yesterday. So, what a week, Vittorio. What a
Incredible,
week.
Alasdair.
Not so much for the Neapolitans, though.
No, doesn't. Well, again, a lot of people was asking, which game do you prefer to win, the Coppa Italia or the Serie A? I said, why do I have to choose? I mean, you need to win both, right? And winning helped winning. I think winning on Thursday helped Lazio winning yesterday. Noslin is the example, right? Hat-trick on Thursday, and on Sunday he came in and made a terrific assist to Isaksen. I'm not sure he would have done that without the hat-trick he scored on Thursday, right?
Yeah, I mean, two different wins with very different teams, very different styles of game, I guess. Home and away, one with a clean sheet, one without. You know, it's so impressive. I mean, I think it kind of comes back to what we've been talking about all season, which is this ability, this pattern Baroni has found to rotate this team effectively so that players can come in and out, but the way they play doesn't change. The confidence that they have doesn't change, and that he's able to kind of keep the fringe players, if you like, in good form because they're still playing a lot of football. And I think that was really underlined more than ever because of the Napoli team we were up against, where it was the complete opposite of Conte hasn't done that at all this season. He picks the same team pretty much every week. So when he rotated for the Coppa Italia, they didn't look well connected at all because it was a completely new team. And then you see the risks of that because they put their first choice team back in and they still lose. So this way, Baroni, and you know, we've got so much to talk about today, but even guys like Elsa Husai coming into the team, having a great game when he's not even been on the list all season. And it just seems like he's really created a great environment where these guys are enjoying their football and getting lots of opportunities.
Yeah, in Coppa Italia, Husai played, and I thought, Alasdair, if Noslin didn't score the hat-trick, probably he was man of the game. Husai had a terrific game, and let's not forget that Husai is out of the list for the Serie A and the Europe League. He can play in Coppa Italia because the list doesn't exist in Coppa Italia. We had Akpak Pro on the bench and Basic as well. I thought Basic would have come in. He was warming him up in the second half. So incredible performance, incredible choices from Marco Baroni. I mean, Noslin come in, hat-trick, Isaksen. We've been talking length about Isaksen, and what a goal, Alasdair. And I thought yesterday, man of the match, Napoli had just one player who was really dangerous, Kvaratskhelia, right? And Baroni was smart enough to play Marusic there, and Isaksen, though, helped a lot Marusic when was defending. I thought it looks to me like it was Felipe Anderson playing yesterday instead of Isaksen.
Well, I was going to say, one of the things when we've talked about Isaksen this season so far that we've said is that we're kind of waiting for his big moment, you know, the game where he's the guy and where he has, I guess, where he does it single-handedly almost. And do you think this is that game? Is this the game that can kind of launch Isaksen into being that player we want to see?
I hope so. I don't think he single-handed the Napoli, but I thought he won the Man of the Game award, and definitely was one of the best on the pitch. Great performance, and yeah, I think this could give him a huge boost for the rest of the season. We need him, even because, I mean, we've been talking a lot, and for the moment, the biggest question mark we have is the right wing, right? Isaksen, Shaunam, nobody convinced there. So, you know, if Isaksen can step up in these important games, then, you know, this team can be very dangerous. And so, yeah, it was really important. Let's not forget that it wasn't an easy game. We are playing against a big team who's fighting for the title. We played with courage. We didn't defend and try to get our chances. We tried to play football, and I mean, we struggled end of the first half, but after that, we played probably better than Napoli overall, right?
Yeah, I think it's deserved. It's one of the hardest fixtures you'll get in Serie A this season. Probably is going down to Naples um, against a team. I guess you could say we got them at a good time in the sense that it's the only time they've had to deal with a midweek game. Although that was against us, the rest of the season they're not having to deal with these European matches. Then again, they did rotate the entire 11, so I don't know if that really counts. But everything, it was difficult. The rain was pretty much non-stop the entire match. They did have to dig in, and I know what you mean. They didn't go there to park the bus and just defend, but they did defend really well as a team. And I
Yep.
thought showed great resilience in a way that's really encouraging, because you look at that performance and you think, God, this team has really evolved since the start of the season in the way that it plays. And we've seen that in terms of selection and tactics and formation and so on. But also, I think now in terms of structure, shape, when a couple of months ago it was kind of like Lazio are winning games, but they're always slightly winning games by deciding we will probably concede, but let's go for it and just score more goals. Whereas now they seem more able to morph into a team that can do this kind of structured type of game too.
And Alice, to be honest with you, yesterday Lazio didn't concede that much. I mean, they had two shot on target, right? The Anguissa, I don't know how you want to call it, half back heel he did in the first half. That was an easy save from Provedel. Then they had the free kick of Kvaratskhelia at the end of the first half. That was slightly wide. And then they hit the post again with Anguissa on the corner kick. That was it. Provedel didn't do nothing in that game, which is huge if you consider, usually we were going to play to Naples and it was a nightmare. Napoli's shooting from everywhere. Instead, at the end, if you go and watch the numbers, we had more chances. Isaksen shot on target 3 times, and Meret made 2 good saves. 1 he scored. We hit the crossbar. Noslin had a huge chance. I mean, we created much more than them, and this is a really important thing because, as you were mentioning, we usually concede. We didn't yesterday, and we were playing against Napoli. It's true that Lukaku plays only in the lowest game, right, against Roma and small teams, not against big teams. But it's still Napoli, right? So that's huge, I think.
It's like a month to the derby, but you're already getting the little jabs in. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I was saying just before we came on, I mean, the answer is clearly even Provedel, because I read this morning this incredible record of his last 5 away games against Napoli. He's won all 5 of them and only conceded 2 goals between his time at Spezia and his time at Lazio. It's unbelievable. So, I mean, he didn't even have, like you said, a huge amount to do. I mean, they did hit the post, I guess. Deli Bashiru's shot, wow, that would have been some goal. But I'm encouraged by him. I think there's a lot of encouragement to come from the last couple of games in terms of what we've seen. The last podcast, we were talking about Noslin, and you were kind of questioning whether he really deserves to be getting more chances. And I can see why you were asking the question, because he has failed to impress so far. And then bang, he listens to one episode of Lazio Lounge. Here's Vittorio doubting him, and a hat trick and an assist. And now suddenly, I don't know, he's got to be in the conversation now about whether he plays, he gets in the team ahead of Tati or ahead of Dia. I mean, he's launching himself into that discussion again now.
Yeah, well, against Inter, he's going to play because Tati's got the yellow card yesterday, and so he will be suspended. But, I mean, terrific games from Noslin, both Thursday and yesterday. And you can think, Thursday against the B team of Napoli, you could hope that he could have such a great performance. But yesterday, he came in, and again, go and watch it again. He missed a huge chance because Meret was out of the goal, and if he could just lob it, that would be an easy peasy 2-0 goal. So, but the goal he makes, the assist he makes, he dribbled past 3 Napoli defenders. So, great performance. We have to give Alice a great credit to Marco Baroni because this player looked lost at the beginning of the season, and now he's playing at terrific level. But you mentioned Dele Bashiru. We were both concerned of seeing Dele Bashiru playing a midfielder against Napoli, not against Lecce, against Napoli. I thought Thursday he played well, but again, he was playing against B team of Napoli. But yesterday, it was the starters of Napoli, and I thought Dele Bashiru played really, really well. I think this player has incredible skills. He has really talent. Now he has to show it up.
Yeah, I mean, Baroni clearly has a gift when it comes to improving players. We've seen that with the new signings that, as they found their feet, they've been, some faster than others. He's been able to find them a role in the team. We've seen it with a lot of the guys who are already here. Zaccagni's improved this season. Rovella's improved this season. To be honest, Pedro's improved. It's quite hard to find any players who haven't improved on where they were at under Baroni. I'm still just so amazed by him because it was so unexpected. I don't think anybody really predicted, even those who kind of supported his appointment, very few predicted that he would have this kind of impact. And I always come back to this thing of our like preseason preview and predictions, which for both of us were fairly negative. And a lot of that for me was based on the fact that I thought this part of the season would be really difficult. The stretch September to December with all these games piling up, his first European campaign, dealing with all these new signings, a new style. And instead, this has been an absolute joy so far. And look at the table, Vittorio. I mean, Atalanta, top of the league. Lazio right up there still. It's almost halfway through the season now. I mean, I'm not going to say the S word, but it's getting exciting.
Yeah, but talking about the table, we're still fifth. That's the problem. And Fiorentina and Inter has a game on hand. So, I mean, they won't win it both because they're playing against each other. But the gap will increase. So don't say the S word because it doesn't exist to us. And let's not make that mistake, Alasdair. I mean, let's not put too much pressure on this team. We're still in December. I still didn't receive my Christmas present. So there's plenty of game to be played. And we still can, we could finish easy below the 10th position if we lose all the games we need to play. We're playing great football. We are excited, definitely. And Alasdair, I think the Serie A is heading to a different direction because you were mentioning Atalanta, you were mentioning Lazio, of course. Finally, the teams that play offensive football have been, how can I say, are performing better. Instead of Conte defending style of football, Motta defending type of football, finally, the Serie A is heading to the Premier League type of football, right? Where offensive mind teams are winning instead of losing games they deserve to win. So this is something we have to talk about. I mean, Napoli, they don't play football, to be honest. It's give the ball to Kvaratskhelia and hope he can do something, right?
I do think Lazio found a greater balance, though, now. Like I was saying towards the start, it's not as all out attack as it was such an attacking style when Baroni first came in. And okay, I think you could probably still describe it as attacking football in the context of Serie A, but he has brought it back in a bit. He has found a bit more balance.
You think so?
I think so, yeah, because they are still a proactive team, a team that looks to attack, but I think they have found a kind of level of defensive structure and shape. They've got 3 clean sheets in the last 4 games, and it's a lot of that is because they're not throwing absolutely everybody, 10 players forward for every attack in the way that they used to.
But we're still playing with 4 strikers, right? With 4 attackers. I mean, Zaccagni, Dia, Isaksen, and Castellanos. I wouldn't say this is the Mazzari type of football, right? Obviously,
no, I'm not saying it's a negative. So I mean it. I don't think it's as attacking as it was at the start of the season. Well, but I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I think that's the way that the team's evolved, and he's clearly still getting results. So I think it's actually probably quite clever of Baroni, because as time's gone on, opponents might have worked out how to the best counter the holes that were appearing of that really ultra attacking style, and now he's found a way of doing both.
Can we say that Zaccagni and Isaksen have learned to defend, and that's the secret?
Yeah, I think certainly a big part of it. I mean, you mentioned Felipe Anderson at the start. I mean, that was something he kind of set the bar for, really, and was probably missed for. But I don't know, often under Sarri anyway, kind of to the expense of his attacking ability sometimes, where he was such a team player that you didn't see as much of him in attack as you always wanted to. Isaksen played the perfect balance of game that I imagine Baroni wanted from him, where he was helping Marisic, staying in that shape to keep Napoli at bay, to stop Kvaratskhelia. And then when he had those opportunities, he was so lively. And how many dribbles did he do? His kind of one-on-one take-ons, always trying to test Oliveira. And then ultimately the goal was such a good goal as well. And he kept trying. He never had his head down, because about 5 minutes before that goal, he tried to do exactly the same thing. He had a one-on-one with Oliveira near the line, tried to cut inside, and Oliveira won the tackle. But he comes back and he goes again and scores an absolutely beautiful goal.
So we have to ask our friend Carsten if this is true, because after the game he said, in Denmark I scored a lot of goals like that, and I was trying to find a way to score like that in Italy as well. So maybe Carsten will confirm that. But yeah, I mean, he had 3 great chances and was everywhere. So it was really positive and really encouraging. Can I ask you something? When Romagnoli came out, were you surprised to see Patrick coming in instead of Gigot? I mean, they had Lukaku, that is huge. And we know that there's a massive difference between Lukaku and Patrick. So were you expecting a more physical defender stepping in for Romagnoli?
Possibly, but I think it goes to show that Gigot's made a pretty good impact, but Patrick is still, I imagine, in the kind of hierarchy further up. And it's a big game against Napoli. So it was probably just that. He sees him as being the next kind of cab off the rank. But
and by the way, did you see where Patrick finished the game?
In midfield.
He's coming.
Another person listening to Lazio Lounge, obviously.
Obviously. I mean, he's going to be the winter signing, right? He's going to be switched to midfielder for January.
Well, I think one of you asked for some questions earlier, and I think one of them was about if Deli Bashiru is going to start performing like this, is that going to stop us going into January and looking for someone? And we have to say no. I mean, it's really encouraging to see Deli Bashiru making a bit of progress and starting to understand the role a bit better. But even with him, there aren't really enough players. I still think we need more. So
yeah, I would answer, it's not Dele Bashiru cancelling our winter transfer, it's Lotito directly. I mean, it doesn't depend on Dele Bashiru, unfortunately. It's Lotito that doesn't want to spend money. So even if Dele Bashiru performs bad from here till January, it's not going to change, unfortunately. I don't think we're going to spend that money, which is unfortunate because, I mean, we've been talking 20 minutes about Lazio great performance, how we are playing great football, etc. And we didn't mention that Castrovilli didn't play a minute. He came back last Thursday, doesn't look 100% fit. So we need someone there. But guys, a lot of you ask the question, obviously, of the winter transfer market. I don't think anybody's going to come. I honestly believe that Lotito is going to say, hey, we are playing great football, we're winning, etc. We don't need anybody. I don't want to spend money. And I think this is what's going to happen. Unfortunately, I mean, we needed someone, I think, but don't think it's going to come. This week, Alasdair, we got a question about the Stadio Flaminio. It's going to be really key for the Stadio Flaminio because on Sunday, it's going to end the deadline to the project. So Lotito should, obviously, we have to say should, present the project before Sunday. And someone last week, a newspaper said, Lotito is going to present the project the 15th of December. Guys, 15th of December is Sunday. The mayor is on holiday and it's everything closed. So don't expect to be that the project will be presented on Sunday because you don't know how Rome works. So before Friday, he has to present something. Otherwise, the Stadio Flaminio dream is over.
Do you think he will? I mean, stuff like this always makes me worried when we talk about deadlines of things having to happen by. And there are other projects on the go too. There are other options. So if Lazio don't get themselves...
Well, the thing is, the Roma Moto project has been rejected already, so they have to appeal, etc. But yeah, I mean, as you were mentioning, every time there's a deadline, we are concerned, right? There's going to be the fax broken, there's going to be the 3D printer broken, so we didn't have the project ready, etc., etc. We know how things go with Lazio, but Lotito talked about it so often, so much, so many times in the last 3 months or so. He cannot drop back, right, and say, no, we have problems. I mean, that would be a massive backlash. So I think he's going to present something. Let's hope it's something that is something concrete, something that can be done, really, and not, we're going to do a desert cathedral, huge cathedral that is going to be impossible to do. So
he has talked about it already, though, hasn't he? He has said publicly that he's got the project right and that it's going to be amazing. You're going to be blown away by it, all this stuff. And yeah, I mean, we've done a couple of Flaminio deep dives in the past.
Yeah, Alasdair, to be honest with you, he said that Tati Castigliano was a great talent. Now,
what are you suggesting, Vittorio?
Yesterday, it's hard to say that someone played badly, but probably the worst Lazio player on the pitch was Tati, right?
I don't know. I think it's a bit harsh. I mean, I think it would be safe to say he's not quite continued as he started generally this season.
Yeah. A little bit like Mia.
He's still doing a lot better than he was last season. So that is an improvement. But it would be nice to see him start making a bigger impact again. Yeah. And generally, I mean, Dia as well has, I wouldn't quite say gone off the boil, because I still think he does a lot for the team and he's a really good player. But in terms of when the season started, we saw those two guys banging in the goals and thinking, wow, this is really impressive.
Yeah. But can we say Dia has an excuse? He's been out for a week or so, then had a little bit of injury problems. So I can understand he's not 100% fit. Tati, instead, didn't have any issue so far. So I would expect something more from him. I think in the last month or so, he scored just 1 goal against Parma. So, in the meantime, Noslin scored 3 goals and an assist in 3 days. That's not a good look for Tati.
So let me get this straight. Are you, in the space of a week, going from Noslin doesn't deserve to be in the team to Noslin needs to start above Tati?
Well, that looks a little bit harsh, but I think he deserves it. I mean, with Baroni, it's the game that speaks, right? The performance. And if you have to pick one between Noslin and Tati at the moment, you should go to Tijjani, right? That looks obvious.
Well, he's full of confidence, and that's a big part of it. Yeah, I mean, it's another big week ahead. We've got Ajax away and, and Inter at home. So, I mean, it's really encouraging to go into that on the back of 2 wins over Napoli, especially after a fairly disappointing couple of results before then. But yeah, it does make it slightly difficult to manage, doesn't it? Because it's away as well. A trip to Amsterdam on a Thursday night, 9 o'clock, then getting back. Okay, we do have until Monday before the Inter game, but the Inter game is massive now, especially if you look at the league table. And
Yeah.
it was always a big game anyway, but now all of a sudden you're talking about a team that is level on points. I'm not sure. I need to double check the table, but pretty much exactly where we are.
Yeah, they have a game on hand, to be honest. They need to play, but away against Fiorentina, so it's not going to be an easy game, but we have the same points. Alasdair, what I would point out is that Pellegrini hasn't been called yesterday, so we just had Nuno Tavares yesterday playing, and we're picking up some injuries, which we didn't at the beginning of the season. Now we have to see Romagnoli, what's happening. You mentioned Thursday's Ajax, very important game. Not easy, away game. If we win, we're pretty much qualified. But then on Monday, you have Inter. You have Tati not playing on Monday because he got the fifth yellow card. So I think he's playing on Thursday, right? And Noslin on Monday. Do you think Noslin could struggle like he did? What was it against Vero? No, what was the last game where he played Bologna? Maybe he struggled when he started against a very physical Inter defense.
Well, I mean, it's a different challenge. I mean, physical into defense, very good into defense.
They're not playing great, to be honest.
Well, it's true, but individually, very strong players. And a back three is always tricky, especially if you're like a sole striker. It's finding that space or working out how to create the chances for yourself can be a bit tricky, I think. Yeah. It's a really interesting test, Inter, because they are the best team in Italy for me. They are obviously the champions. I mean, I would still have them as Scudetto winners if I had to predict again. But they haven't been like running away with it. They haven't been setting the league on fire, and they do have so much quality, but you're just not seeing it absolutely every week. And I think quite a bit of their attention is on the Champions League this year because I think they believe they can do something in that competition, and I think they're right to believe that. But it does make it interesting because Lazio have got this game just after they've been in Europe, where I imagine they'll be focusing their efforts, even if it's strangely Inzaghi's been rotating his team for the Champions League quite often this season. So it'll be interesting to see how they manage that as well.
I agree with you saying it's a test, but it was a test even yesterday. It will be a test on Thursday. This team is very young. There are a lot of people, a lot of players who have to be tested at this level. I mean, we were talking about Dele Bashiru. This was the first big game for Dele Bashiru in a different position. Let's not forget that. So I think this is all a test. This is a sort of test season, right? We have so many youngsters that need to play and need to perform. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be a difficult match. I think Ajax game will be very important because that will give us a little bit of results test. You beat Napoli twice. Maybe you are a little bit overconfident. You go to Amsterdam and you have to manage your confidence boost. So it's not going to be easy for a very young team. I think from here till the derby, we are going to play difficult games. Even Lecce could be a difficult game for us. So it's going to be really challenging, Alasdair. And yeah, it's going to be... Let's celebrate these 2 wins in a row and think that the next game are going to be important. One thing really important, I repeat, we are 5th in the table. So it's not that we have done anything incredible. We're top of the league in Europe League, but we are just 5th in the Serie A. We are Europe League now. Right?
Yes, it is frustrating that everyone else is also keeping pace with their great starts. But the gap over the rest keeps getting bigger and bigger, doesn't it? So that's an encouraging thing, especially over Juventus and Milan. If we can continue to have a gap over those teams, it's hugely impressive. So, yeah, I mean, look, I think we still can be in a position where we're just enjoying the ride, and I do like that. That's the message that generally Baroni and the players are going with, because especially after Sunday, there was a lot of those questions. Scudetto, is it time to start believing, all this stuff, and they generally just say, there's nothing. The road is long, but there's nothing wrong with dreaming, or these kind of vague answers. But I think that's the right way to go. They're enjoying themselves. I think the Thursday night game, and especially the reaction to Husai and coming into the team, it was so nice to see all that, because it just shows there's a really good feeling in this team at the moment, and they seem to be just enjoying each other and enjoying their football and having fun, especially because most interviews seem to be people complaining about Igor Tudor now. So I think compared to that, it's probably like freedom.
Yeah, you're right. I felt sorry Akpa didn't come in. He was warming up with Basic. He could have had a chance. Thanks for all the listening. Thanks for all the Patreon. Please support our podcast, patreon.com/Lazio Lounge. Alasdair, I want to leave you with this phrase Marco Baroni posted on Twitter, on Instagram yesterday. And I don't know. We don't need few. We don't need many. We need everybody. Don't understand, but anyway.
Okay, I was waiting for an explanation of that.
Doesn't make sense, but I love him anyway.
Okay.
So thanks, Marco Baroni. Keep going. Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll be back probably if Alasdair hasn't got another birthday party on Friday after Ajax Lazio.
Yeah, that's not how birthdays work, but yeah, see you then.
Take care, guys, e forza Lazio.